Powerful introduction. The danger of oversharing. Silence is power, not the silence of fear, but the silence of control. The kind of silence that knows exactly when to speak and when to hold back. Too many people waste their strength explaining what they are doing instead of doing it. They scatter their energy through words, revealing ideas that are still fragile, still forming. They don't realize that the moment you talk too soon, you invite opinions that dilute your conviction. What begins as pure inspiration becomes clouded by other people's doubts, judgments, and noise. Think about it. Every time you share a plan, a dream, or a breakthrough, you feel a sense of excitement, a spark of validation. Someone applauds you, encourages you, and for a moment, it feels like you've already achieved something. But that illusion of progress steals your drive. The brain mistakes talk for action, and the energy that should be fueling your next move leaks out through your whir.
Minds understood this long before success found them. They learned to stay quiet while they built. They didn't advertise their process. They protected it. Power lives in privacy. When you are silent, you conserve your energy. You channel it inward into action, into creation, into mastery. You no longer need to prove yourself because you understand that results will do the talking. There's something magnetic about a person who doesn't reveal everything. They move differently. People sense their focus. They respect their composure. You see, silence commands attention, not because it hides something, but because it demonstrates self-control. It's easy to speak when you feel insecure. It's tempting to fill the silence with explanations. But the one who can stay quiet, who can build without broadcasting, becomes unpredictable. And unpredictability is power. When people can't read your next move, they can't interfere. They can't block what they can't see. And in a word, wants to be seen. Those who choose to be unseen become the most unstoppable. The why silence builds strength truth is noise is cheap. Anyone can talk about what they plan to do, what they want to achieve, who they hope to become. But talk doesn't create momentum. Silence does, because in silence you are forced to face yourself. You confront your fears, your weaknesses, your excuses. There's no audience to impress, no validation to chase. It's just you and your mission. And that's where transformation begins, in the quiet moments of unseen effort. When you learn to stay silent, you begin to value energy differently. You stop giving away your thoughts carelessly. You stop seeking approval for every decision. You start realizing that true strength doesn't need to announce itself. It just exists, steady, composed, and patient. You stop needing the world to understand your path because you know it's not their job to. It's yours. So the next time you feel the urge to tell everyone what you're working on, pause. Let your silence do the work. Let your results speak the story. Because power isn't in what you say, it's in what you choose not to say. When you share your goals too early, you give the world a chance to plant doubt where faith should grow. Every dream begins as a fragile seed. It needs the warmth of belief and the shelter of silence. But the moment you expose it to too many opinions, it becomes vulnerable. Not because people are evil, but because they see through their own limitations. They cannot see your vision as you see it because it was not given to them. It was entrusted to you. The human mind is sensitive to suggestion. Every word you hear carries a vibration that influences your thinking, whether you realize it or not. So when you reveal your ambitions and someone says, "That sounds impossible," or "Be realistic," those words begin to echo in your subconscious. They take root. Confidence wavers. The voice that once said, "I can," begins to hesitate. This is why protecting your energy isn't just a matter of privacy. It's a matter of psychological survival. People underestimate how fragile early belief can be. The moment you declare something, you invite resistance from the world, from others, even from within, protecting your vision from doubt yourself. The ego wants validation, but the spirit wants alignment, and the two are rarely in agreement. When you speak too soon, you feed the ego. You get the satisfaction of attention, but you lose the hunger for achievement. You trade purpose for approval, and in that trade, your dream weakens. You must remember, a seed doesn't announce itself before it grows. It germinates in darkness. The soil protects it. The roots form silently, unseen. Only when it's strong enough does it break through the surface and face the world. Your goals deserve the same respect. They need privacy to mature, Patty, belief to sustain them. When you expose them too early, you interrupt that natural process. It's not that you should live in isolation or never share your thoughts. It's about discernment. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Some will listen to understand. Others will listen to compare. Some will encourage you. Others will envy you. And envy is quiet. It doesn't always come as open hostility. Sometimes it hides behind smiles, small comments, subtle discouragement. And if you're not careful, you absorb that energy. You begin to question yourself. You start dimming your light just to make others comfortable. But here's the truth. Your vision wasn't designed for their comfort. It was designed for your growth. Protect it like something sacred. Speak only when necessary. And even then, choose your audience wisely. Not every ear is worthy of your plans. Not every opinion deserves your attention. And not every conversation deserves your energy. You keep feeding your dreams to the mouths of doubters. You cannot grow if you let others define the limits of your belief. The more you protect your vision, the stronger it becomes. The less you explain, the more you achieve. So guard your goals, the way a flame guards its oxygen. Let them breathe in silence, grow in strength, and one day burn so brightly that the same people who doubted you are left wondering how you did it without ever saying a word. There comes a point in every person's journey where words no longer matter. Only action does. You can talk about change, read about success, and dream about greatness, but none of it has power until it's lived. Talking can feel like progress, but it's an illusion. It gives you the same satisfaction as actions speak louder than announcements' achievement, without the effort. And that illusion has destroyed more dreams than failure ever has. When you speak too often about what you plan to do, you create a false sense. The brain begins to relax, as if the work is already complete. That moment of validation tricks you into believing you've moved forward, when in truth, you've only spent energy that could have been used to build. People who constantly announce their next move rarely finish it. They exhaust themselves explaining instead of executing. Meanwhile, the quiet worker, the one who keeps his plans private, continues to build brick by brick until the results speak louder than any declaration ever could. True power is silent progress. You don't need applause to validate your steps. You need consistency to prove them. Action has a language that words cannot imitate. When people see results, they respect them. They can argue with your opinion, but they can't argue with what you've built. That's why the wisest people in history rarely spoke of what they would do. They simply did it. They let time reveal their work. And time, my friend, never lies. Every word you speak creates. Energy isn't directed into action. It dissipates into thin air. It's like lighting a match in the wind. It burns bright for a second, then disappears. But when you work in silence, that same energy builds pressure, focus, momentum. You're not chasing validation anymore. You're channeling everything into creation. That's how movements are born. Not from announcements, but from disciplined execution. Let your results become your voice. Let your actions be your argument. You'll find that silence not only amplifies your work, but also earns respect without demand. People are drawn to those who don't need to explain themselves. There's a quiet confidence in someone who says little and does much. That silence says, I don't need to convince you. I know who I am, and I know what I'm building. And here's the truth. Most won't admit. People remember results, not promises. The world is full of talkers. Every day someone says they're going to change their life. Start themselves. Few actually do. So when you become the one who follows through, your presence stands out. You don't need to speak loudly because your success becomes your voice. So stop wasting breath announcing why privacy creates power, what hasn't been built yet. Save your energy. Let the noise of your progress drown out the silence of others' opinions. There's more dignity in quiet achievement than in loud intention. Because in the end, the world doesn't respect what you said you do. It respects what you actually did. Not everyone deserves access to your life. This is a truth most people learn too late after their peace has been disturbed, their ideas have been stolen, or their confidence has been shaken by the wrong voices. We often mistake openness for honesty and vulnerability for connection. But maturity teaches you that access is a privilege, not a right. The more you value yourself, the more selective you become about who gets to know your story. Every time, why? Personal space. You invite their energy, their mindset, and their intentions into your world. Some will uplift you, but others, even unconsciously, will drain you. Not because they are inherently bad, but because their perspective is limited. They cannot see your future as you do. They view your growth through the lens of their fears, their failures, their envy. And if you are not careful, their energy becomes yours. You must learn to protect your mental environment the same way you protect your home. You wouldn't leave your front door open for anyone to walk in. So why do you do that with your thoughts, your plans, your emotions? Privacy is not about secrecy. It's about boundaries. It's about keeping sacred what the world too easily corrupts. When your life becomes an open book, people start reading pages they were never meant to see, and they begin writing opinions you never asked for. There is wisdom in mystery. When people know less about you, they project, sabotage what they don't understand. They can't gossip about what they can't define. They can't compete with what they can't see. That's why the quiet ones often go the farthest. They spend less time defending themselves and more time developing themselves. They don't need everyone's approval because they've learned to validate their own vision. It takes strength to remain private in a world that rewards exposure. Everyone wants to be seen, to be known, to be acknowledged. But true confidence doesn't scream. It speaks softly. It doesn't crave attention. It attracts it. Preserve momentum by staying quiet. The more you evolve, the more you realize that solitude isn't loneliness. It's leadership. It's the space where clarity is born, where focus sharpens, where the noise of the world fades and your inner voice becomes audible again. Be intentional about who you share your life with. Some people only want the headline, not the full story. Some only show up when you're building. And some listen, not to support, but to collect information. You owe no one explanations for your silence. You owe yourself peace of mind. Choose privacy, not because you fear the world, but because you're preparing to rise above it. The truth is simple. The less they know, the safer your purpose remains. Not everyone deserves front row access to your evolution. Let them see the final result, not the blueprint. Keep your circle small, your vision sacred, and your focus unshakable, because real power moves quietly. And the moment you master that, nothing and no one can disrupt your direction. Again, momentum is a quiet force. It doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need applause. It only needs consistency. Yet, most people destroy their own momentum by talking about what they're going to do instead of simply doing it. Every time you announce a goal, you experience a rush of pride, a hit of dopamine that feels like progress. But that feeling interprets the act of speaking as a form of completion. You feel as though the work is already underway, and that illusion drains the urgency that drives real effort. The truth is, progress demands pressure. When you keep your goals private, you preserve that inner tension, the hunger that pushes you to act. Silence keeps the fire alive. The more you talk, the more you release the pressure that fuels persistence. Think about a steam engine. It builds force through contained heat, emotional discipline, mastering the inner self. If you keep opening the valve to show everyone how it works, the pressure escapes and the engine stops moving. Your goals work the same way. They thrive on focus, not exposure. The greatest achievers understand the psychology of momentum. They know that every word must either build their future or weaken it. They don't waste energy on promises. They invest it in progress. They work in private, refining their craft, growing quietly until their behalf. That's why when their success finally appears, it looks sudden to everyone else. But to them, it was inevitable. What appeared overnight was years of unspoken discipline. Momentum loves silence because silence creates continuity. There are no interruptions, no distractions, no need for external validation. You're not stopping to explain yourself or to seek approval. You're simply moving forward one deliberate step at a time. And that rhythm, once established, becomes unstoppable. The same way a river carves through stone, slow and steady effort transforms impossible dreams into undeniable reality. When you protect your momentum, you also protect your confidence. You begin to trust yourself more deeply because your progress becomes proof of your integrity. You no longer need to convince anyone of what you're capable of. You can see it in your results. Each small victory compounds, reinforcing your belief that you can achieve even greater things. The silent progress. It doesn't just build achievement, it builds identity. So stop releasing your energy through talk. Keep closing message. Let results speak for you. It contained. Let it build pressure until action becomes inevitable. The most dangerous version of a person is the one who no longer announces their intentions because they've learned to convert every thought into movement. Every day they take one more step, not out of excitement, but out of discipline. And when their work finally surfaces, it's not just impressive, it's undeniable. Remember this, momentum is fragile in the beginning, but unstoppable once it grows. Protect it, feed it, guard it from noise, from doubt, from unnecessary exposure. Let your silence be the container that preserves your power, because when you master the art of quiet progress, your success will make all the noise the world needs to.